Pollard's on a double though, and he finds the third through the smoke.
It's just enough. Getting it to 3K with the help.
With 3 seconds left, Simon lands the pre-fire. Nobody can kill him in time.
He clutches it out. What a play from the alibi as the lobby player goes unchecked.
Welcome back. Game number 4, the final map of the night is getting ready. Billy, we have Luminosity Gaming versus Lycus Empire, a top T2 team against a T3 team who has been struggling to qualify for leagues and then got into SCS.
Yeah, look, Lycus Empire is a name that has sort of been bouncing around that Tier 3 seed for a while. Luminosity stepping back in as an organisation to Tier 2. Look, again, I think it's just that split Tier 3 versus Tier 2 difference. Lycus Empire potentially have that upset potential as the underdogs, but if you're looking purely at the numbers, if you're going off what is the smarter bet, I think Luminosity would be the one.
Yeah.
Lycus Empire, look, they're in a situation where they've got absolutely everything to prove and nothing to lose.
Yeah, when they were in quals, they were nasty. I'm surprised they hadn't been in leagues before, but they'll be up against quite the beast. We can look at LG's roster. The core has stayed the same for quite some time. Eddie, Splash, and Julian around before these others. Asian, previously on this team, went to PB, got dropped, and he finds himself back on LG and Rice to round things out. Technically, the newest player to this core with Asian coming back, and all 5 of these guys, boy, can they shoot. They are one of the top CL teams for a reason, really only falling at the very end in playoffs against Aerial Arise in the best of 3. Our highlight player is Splash, one of the highest rated players on his team, 1.17, plus 29 on the KD, plus 4 on the entry, and you can look to him to be one of those spearheads and flex operators who's going to be looking to get into the fights and get those kills.
Well, I mean, the biggest question now has to be, how much of a difference does Wafer leaving make for this roster? Obviously, we've just, had the announcement that he's joining Australis as a coach, no longer working with these guys. Is that going to be detrimental at all coming into SCS7? Who's going to be stepping into that void to fill, the coaching role for Luminosity? It's going to be interesting to see. Whereas for Lycus Empire, again, they're coming into this as... they've got nothing to lose. Literally, they've got nothing to lose other than maybe a little bit of dignity, maybe a bit of ego. We'll have to see. It is T3.
They're already expected to lose anyway. So at this point, even just a close game against LG, I think, would be a statement. We can look at the guys on the other side, Lycus Empire. T3 roster been around for a while. They were previously Mystic, consists of Cryptics, Ozone, Aggro, and Woos, and of course, my favorite, Candle R6. Woos and Ozone have Challenger League experience. Ozone, much less, considering he came in right at the end, I think, for relegations, and he didn't do too hot. They almost won it. I think if Ozone just had a slightly better performance, definitely wasn't the one he was looking for, they could have made it back in. Woos had a whole stage under his belt and did okay. We're looking at his Challenger League stats, exactly average. A dead 1.0, plus 1 on the KD, but the entry is definitely where he really shined, plus 9 on a team like Outlast, who were kind of struggling all around. He and Tra were doing their best to make that entry game work.
Look, you can't really ask for much more. I mean, he's going even. He's a plus 1, he's a plus 9 on the entry, so he's doing his job. It's still stage 1 of CL, so in that time that has passed since then, maybe he's improved. Hopefully he's improved if you're like a Empire fan coming into this matchup, especially given that you take it on Luminosity, who have looked very, very good this year. So, look, if you have someone that can find those ones, find those numbers, that's exactly what you're hoping for. But we jump onto the map veto. Oregon banned, thank God. Skyscraper follows it up there. Look, I can take it or leave it. It is an interesting map to watch, but we won't be having it today.
We will not. Clubhouse and Theme Park follow. So LG taking out all the interesting maps. Oregon and Clubhouse, bit more stock standard. Cafe and Border follow. So we're keeping with the themes. Lycus taking out the older, not necessarily stale, but definitely older, more thought out maps. And LG taking away the new ones. Chalet and Bank to follow. We end up on Villa. So what's today been? Oregon, Bank, Villa. These teams just like throwing.
We almost had 3 banks. That would have been fun.
Oh, it wouldn't have.
I mean, look, you look at the biggest problem with this map for most teams is on the attack, is, the time sink. There is a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of work to do to get into the site, and a lot of teams can fall short. And ambitious, ambitious prediction there for Lycus Empire for Golu.
Molu.
I don't know if I can back that one up, but you know, Crow, as one of the other members of the 100% club, I think we've backed the right team here.
Yeah, it's tough to root against LG in any capacity. Like even up against Aerial Arise in that BO3 for Challenger League playoffs, it was tough to vote for either team. That was really 50-50. And Aerial Arise are a historically really good CL team. LG, I think they won stage 2, I think. So they're no slouches. And up against Lycus Empire, like I said, a team that's kind of been struggling to qual for leagues and make a name for themselves. SCS is going to be their first true test. Up against LG, like I said, even if they just make it a close game, I think is going to be a statement that they should be happy with.
Oh, yeah, it's that proving ground. If they can pick up a win here, definitely would do a lot for Lycus Empire's confidence going into the later stage of this tournament. Whereas Luminosity, it's sort of that first stepping stone. I think more than anything, it should just be a reaffirmation of why they are the favored team coming into this matchup. Realistically, I think it would be a pretty significant upset on the whole if Luminosity were to drop a map like Villa, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, favorites. Yeah, exactly. It should be a staple in the pool at the moment. I know it for sure is down in our part of the world, and APAC South as a whole. Teams love Villa. They absolutely froth it, so that it should be one of those maps that you know how to play, regardless of what level of competition you're in.
You said they absolutely froth it?
Yeah, they love it.
Okay. Yeah. Is that a Kiwi slang on two Americans to understand?
Colloquialism, yeah.
I got you. But yeah, it's not only is this a standard map, but LG love Villa. I mean, ever since they were in T3, when they were freaking gatekeepers with Rexavy, they loved this map. This is historically one of their favorites. And I gotta say, I think that's a big mistake from Lycus Empire. You're going up against LG. You ban 2 maps right off the bat. You ban Oregon and you ban Villa. Lycus only banned 1, and LG, I'm sure, are more than happy to go to this map over Bank. And yeah, that poll makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't have it any other way, considering just the history of these two teams and how dominant LG has been since T3, since coming to T2. It's hard to root against them. Lycus Empire with the first ban will take out Nook. Not only is she a staple ban at this point, but especially against a team like LG, I would be fearing for my life if there was a Nook on the board.
Oh, especially on Villa. I mean, you talk about, yeah, teams may not just, it may be a case of they just don't want to verse the Nook, but especially on the likes of Villa, the likes of Bag, she is such a terrifying presence to come up against on the defense that, honestly, just for the sheer mental of it, it's not worth it. And the Valkyrie, finally we're getting to see the Valkyrie taken away.
No Valkyrie, I'm sad. My opinion, Valkyrie, much more fun to watch on Villa than Bank, considering the C4 potential. But Goyo, I heard you make the noise. An odd ban, but certainly not without its merit. Very powerful operator on Villa. We see him played all the time because of how little, emphasis is placed on hard breach nowadays in modern Villa. A lot of this map relies around just those doorways. And who better to stop that than people like Goyo and Smoke? So you want to take out one of those two? Lycus takes out Goyo. It does leave Mira up. It does leave a zombie up. Lycus will play neither. In the first round, they'll go to Dining. They're bringing that Pulse, but only one other C4.
I mean, still, that's the beauty of the Pulse. It sort of allows you to be that little bit more efficient with the Nitro cells. I'm assuming that's, that's how they'll be playing it with Woos, playing up for the shoulder aggro for at least the first little bit of the round, so that they can make the most of the cardiac sensor. But there is that extension. Candle looking to get a bit aggressive with the Oryx up in the master bedroom. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's going to find much.
By the way, as you can see, LG are pulling an Astralis. Edward is Eddie. Yang is Rice. Asian is Ying. Still don't know who Newcastle and Vamos are. But we're getting the word on that right now from their coach Tysus. So Hopefully we'll be able to actually cast. Newcastle is Splash, so that means Vamos is Kixrow. And speaking of the devil, they'll be taken out really early on by Woos, playing in Pantry, cuts him down on the window, gets the hard breach just to add insult to injury, and now the LG attack will be without their Thatcher.
Rough, but not irredeemable. I mean, there are options available to them. It's going to have to be a little bit more concise when it comes to the gunplay. They're going to have to win their ones. But the scariest part being there's still nitro cells in play. There's still the cardiac sensor. The fact that, I mean, if they'd taken out the trade even, that would have been huge in terms of contesting Lycus and their defense. But the power of a pulse on this dining kitchen site cannot be understated with a nitro playing off the shoulder.
The Oryx gets drone, but Cryptix gets a kill. Eddie, now the next dead. Set of nades off the board. Cryptix somehow, the kill onto Asian. Another for Cryptix. 3 on the round, looking for 4 on the Splash. He's low HP, but the gun is still hot. And now the flank coming through, drops the hatch. The defender gets away. I think leaves Cryptix upstairs alone, but the alibi falls back as well. They don't want to give Splash any room to breathe. No free 1v1s, and he's still on sensor. The pulse scanning him, watching his every move, trying to bait him into walking over the C4 that's pre-placed by, I believe, his teammate of Woos. And there it is. Perfect pulse play. Lycus Empire with a flawless opener.
I mean, there's a lot of factors, I think, to consider into the result of that round. For one, opening Villa with kitchen and dining is a bit of a out of left field move for I think a lot of teams. I mean, you're anticipating the Aviator game start, even maybe trophy split if you're feeling a bit risque, but dining kitchen definitely wasn't what Luminosity were expecting. I think it maybe threw them for a bit of a loop, and Lycus were able to capitalize. Not to mention some absolutely stunning fragging from Cryptix, who well and truly dismantled the Luminosity push.
Oh, do you speak Spanish?
No, I don't.
Oh, so you
I wish I
translated
did.
That tweet?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, as someone with ADHD, learning languages is very hard. Yeah, I am.
Fraud.
I've attempted to learn Spanish on 4 separate occasions, but my attention span is limited, unfortunately.
Wow, 4. God damn.
Yeah, ADHD sucks, man.
10 seconds remaining.
No, don't worry, Serena feels you. She was trying to learn Chinese, and I think she's pretty much given up on that. So
I think I've tried to learn Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, and I want to say French, but I think that French was high school, so it doesn't really count.
yeah, French is a dumb language anyway. On to AVG for LYE. They've got this Master Roam all prepped and ready to meet Luminosity when they enter the building. Aggro downstairs as well, supporting from underneath with that C4, and can maybe see this player on the rappel. Lights up Eddie quite a bit and gets away without any damage received.
Luckily this time, they don't lose the player outright, which was not the case in our opener. But as it goes, Luminosity at least have a better approach to this site. Aviator Games just, I would argue, probably a little bit more comfortable to attack, I think, of all the sites on Villa. It's not the greatest, because obviously there's people shooting back at you, but probably one of the easier ones to set up on the attack.
Asian heavily tagged up, but they have Candle R6 trapped in a corner. The Bailiff comes out, it downs the Iana. There's the finisher, and he gets away! Oh no! Splash couldn't land the finishing blow!
That was feral. I'm sorry.
What?
Oh no. I've seen a handful of Bailiff kills in my Rainbow Six casting career, and that one was the grossest. I'm sorry.
All right. So, Alibi just got away with highway robbery. Aggro on the Astro stairs, shoots his drone, falls back. The cutoff too late from Splash, and Aggro also gets away from this clear. He'll play downstairs. Still a dangerous nitro cell in pocket that he could potentially pre-place right outside that board double door. We see it very common. Another drone, I think, at his feet. And someone's waiting for him. They've got a cutoff. Aggro none the wiser. Kixrow with the trade, and we're back to 4-4.
Hey, Yana for a Mozzie. I think you still take that if you like us, honestly. Mozzie, if nothing else, at least potentially denies some information with the pest. You lose a Nitro, but the Gemini is such a pivotal piece of utility, not to mention the frag grenades as well. Candle still somehow alive.
I just
Here
don't get
in
it.
the second round. I just don't. I have no idea how he has managed to keep himself in play in this situation. Smokes to try and cover the top of red stairs. Sorry, brown stairs rather. Ozone. Look, it does nothing. They set up to cover the cross, but they don't actually cross. Now, you know, they've looked for the nade play from below. Candle's
What?
still alive!
Wow. Handle R6 must have a juggernaut or something. The plant is going down from Rice. Dodging those gas canisters, finally getting choked out. Candle R6 gets another kill before he's finished. Ozone trades him out too. Splashes on the floor. What can Rice do except die? Ozone with the final 2. And LG fall. 0-2 to Lycus Empire.
Absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain for Lycus Empire. And you'd almost think it was the opposite. You'd think that, you know, Lycus Empire were the ones with everything to lose in this situation. They're playing their absolute lives.
I can't believe Candle got another kill.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Well, us 100%ers might be in for a rude awakening if this continues. LG have 2 kills in 2 rounds. Both of them on the from the gun of Kicks row. Currently Vamos.LG finding 2 in just the last round we saw. Trophy stat, now the site for this defense.
10 seconds remaining.
Still playing with minimal C4 coverage, but that's
5
okay.
seconds remaining.
A roam all the way towards the study side of things. It'll be Candle R6 and Wooz setting up here, unless Wooz is just playing for the utility and then falling back. Yeah, I guess. Okay, I guess it's just the alibi. One-man roam.
Oh dear. This is, yeah, I think this is going to be a bit of a shock to the system. And it might just be what they need. Because Luminosity, like I said, this is not the start that they're looking for. The fact that a single player has all of 2 kills for the entirety of the team. Lycus Empire have the momentum. They have everything working for them. And if Luminosity aren't careful, they could be staring down the barrel of an abysmal half.
Going site direct. Not bothering with the roam this time. Leaving the alibi to her own devices. Aggro's shield. Staring in that brick doorway. Finally dealt with by this attack.
By attackers.
As LG set up for this master take. They've got the Ying. They've got the wedge they need to force themselves into either site or Astro, depending on where they want to go. Wooz has C4 with an attacker's name on it, though. He's got to worry about Eddie, who misses the impact on the Aruni. So, bit of a waste. The C4 to follow does not land damage. It only succeeds in destroying the drone that the Zofia had thrown in. Splash burns away the Aruni gate as well, leaving Wooz a bit exposed to those Candelas. He's looking for the swing, trying to catch Splash with the Candela in hand. Aggro covering the cross. But Wooz finally exposed himself to the Astro window player. Eddie gets the opening kill.
I'd still argue there's almost value because of how few drones there are still in play for Luminosity. Unfortunately, it does not matter. Candle answers back, and all of a sudden you find yourself with 4 versus 4. That's your Hibana off the board as well. Luminosity just stumbling. These hurdles that Lycus are throwing up are just seemingly insurmountable for this Luminosity roster. And again, an attempt to push in towards the site denied through the openings that they themselves made.
Oh my
what
God.
a shot, Candle! Stop it! This is just not fair. Unfortunately for Luminosity, they find themselves with 2 players remaining. They bring it back to a 2 versus 3 effectively, and they will get the Ying back up and into play. So bodies even across the board. A health bar is not so. The trade should be there.
Cryptics!
Cryptics, come on. He does get it, and they find the follow-up 2. So 2 versus 1. Eddie is going to have to clutch this one out. He does have the diff, though. So this is workable. Does he spot the legs? Almost took out Cryptics.
Wow.
The Candle. He's just done it again.
Nah. What? Oh my God. What is going on? Lycus Empire are hitting shots that you would believe And because not only are the shots themselves impressive, right? Not only are not only are Lycus hitting incredible shots and winning their fights where it matters, they're doing it against one of the mechanically best Challenger League teams. Like, these guys are known for being shooters. These guys are known for being able to fall back on their gun skill when all else fails. How many times have we seen LG forced to barrel on into the site with no map control and just kill everything in their path? How many times have we seen LG just walk into a roam clear?
Not just that, but they've
lose a body.
forced Luminosity straight into attack pause.
Yeah,
After 3 rounds.
It's incredible.
So this map potentially could go full 15, and Luminosity do not have another attack pause.
And Cryptics and Candle R6 too were big highlights in their qual run. Aggro as well. Well, actually, I mean, pretty much every single person on this roster had at least one really standout game or map. And they are showcasing, they're showcasing that gun skill right now. They can hang with the big boys.
I think, yeah, look, it is...
Dude, if they win this game, I might have an aneurysm.
Yeah, look, I think this is a shock to the system.
I might die at my desk right
and
now.
we've talked about how, you know, the earlier matchups for, you know, 6COM in Australia, it's a true test of how those teams could match up in this competition against the best there is. We look at, you know, our opening match, how well can Aerial Arise stand up to the competition of Tier 3, the Pug Stacks. Now, Luminosity, this is their test. How do they stand up against the Pug Stacks of the likes of a Tier 3 Lycus Empire? So far, they're struggling, but this is going to be make or break. If they can hold off against the Pug Stack, which is absolutely dominating them, by the way, a 3-0 start is not a small feat, especially given that it was, conceding 2 kills in the opening 2 rounds. That is no small feat. If Luminosity can hold fast against this, they definitely could go quite far in the tournament. Or they could throw it by going straight into Classic.
Yamaru already in, but the default spots him. Aggro very aware, watching the angle. They've got pings too. So they know Asian is here, at the very least. They're aware that the Yamaru has made a fast play in through 90, but do they know where she's gone? He's not wrapping around. Instead, watching that main stairs flank. Is this just an early... Are they just using the Yamaru as an early cutoff?
I mean, I think that's kind of what she was designed for, being that early cutoff. We see it quite often showcased in Oregon, that Tier 3 grapple, trying to cut off the main stairs. And we are seeing, look, it was a risky play, sending it full into Classical, but it has worked so far. Lycus Empire, though, once again, leaning into the Pulse, the Nitro play, and that could be hugely detrimental because you look at it, Aggro's already got that info that there are players up here looking to get themselves in. But the sledge flank, I mean, if you can even just disrupt a little bit from this position, it would be huge.
And they've got to disrupt something because Lycus Empire are operating like a well-oiled machine right now. 5 kills from LG in 3 rounds. And make that another. There's that early cutoff we were just highlighting. Asian watching the red stairs. Able to get the opener onto Ozone. Another follows. Woos is dead because there's Splash with that sledge flank coming up to Brown. Cryptics, though, retaking in. Lands 1.
God,
Asian
Candle.
with 2, though. And wow, that Amaru ending up really working out. Getting the early cutoff on a red stairs, walking down, catching the defense as they escape, killing that sledge, and Luminosity get their first point.
The moment I mentioned Disrupt, believe it or not, you know, getting ready for today, I didn't check it because, you know, who checks it? I spent the last, 24 hours rattling my brain to think who Australis was before they were picked up by Australis. So now I've just said it unintentionally and remembered. So don't worry, Crow, you're not the only one having, brain lag moments on broadcast today. Well, you got there in the end with Iconic. I got there with Disrupt. We make it work, but Luminosity do as well. And to be fair, Amaru play worked exactly how they wanted it to do, cutting off the flanks. Candle still bagged himself another 2 kills. So he is still fried. 7-2, he's looking to put up similar numbers to Quartz in our opening match of the day. So that's something that I think Luminosity need to be aware of.
Absolutely, he and Cryptics really leading the charge for his team. Got to give it up to Asian, though, and a really important 3-piece to stem the bleeding and make sure that his team gets the round after the timeout.
To locate a bomb and defuse
pivotal that you win that. If you lose the first round after a timeout, then all hope is kind of lost for you. Real unfortunate. We'll see if they're able to attack onto AVG now. Somewhere where Lycus Empire, again, we're incredibly successful at. But this time there's much more downstairs presence, I think, from this defense.
Let's see if it's enough to break that any sort of chance at momentum for Luminosity. Once again, we see the cut down through the basement to try and catch someone off. I mean, that's where the Nook usually thrives, but given that it's banned, you got to find someone else to do it. Surprisingly, it's the Sledge, but I mean, in a situation where you don't have that ability to top down, your utility largely becomes just 2 frag grenades. So they're making do.
Woos exposes himself again to this Astro window player and then instantly disconnects. I wonder if maybe he was lagging out. Candle R6 with the refrag on the splash, but Asian's there for an answer. Still the man count advantage here for LG. And okay, Kix is just in this building and study, and Cryptix domes the crap out of him. And, well, there goes the lead. It's now even, 3 versus 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see whether it was a case of disconnect, because whether or not, we're going to have a teach after.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
What are we teaching?
I would imagine the fundamentals of site defense.
I don't know if I can teach that.
Neither can I. That's why we talk about
I
the
give you
game.
the basics of quantum mechanics, though.
Yeah, look.
That's not
I'll leave that one to you. Unfortunately, Aggro is going to leave for cam duty. And the player advantage there. Eddie's left as well. Okay.
But he was alive!
Yeah. So much the same as Woo's. Look, cyclical. It's just karmic universal justice lending itself to a Lycus Empire here.
Cryptix and Ozone left in the 2 versus 2 against Rice and Asian. Yin and Yang. The first gas canister comes out from Cryptix at about 45 seconds. Woos has since returned, but Woos is on the wrong team. How does that even happen? Ozone is making sure no one can walk through study. There's no attackers here, though. The gas canister chokes out Asian, and eventually the smoke is able to down him. Rice spots the rotate, gets a ping too, and kills the Jaeger, and leaves Cryptix on his lonesome, because Ozone decided to push out just a little bit too far. Cryptix is rather safe, sitting in vault with that pump shotgun, but Rice is going to go for the res. This could be a smart play with only 10 seconds left. Cryptix starts to work his way up, shotgun in hand, but Asian playing the long angle gets cut down because of his low HP. Rice has to go for the kill. He's got a pre-fire, but there's no time. He wins it just thanks to the clock. Cryptix knew he had it in the bag, hits the teabag, and Lycus Empire take another point.
That's playing the win condition. And as for Woos joining back on the wrong team, don't even get me started on game states, because I've witnessed far worse than that. And look, Lycus Empire, the 4-1, I mean, arguments can be made that it is defense on Villa, so there is every possibility that Luminosity come in the second half and find themselves just as much success. But a round that was, it started with a Lycus Empire member disconnecting. Then all of a sudden, Luminosity were only up 3-2. They lose that third player to another disconnect, bring it to the 2 versus 2. Comical. Yep. Just absolutely bizarre.
That was interesting. We're going to cut back to us. We don't know how long this tech pause is going to last, or if we're going to need a rehost. Hopefully we don't need a rehost, and Woos can just get back in the lobby. But yeah, that round was odd. It started with Woos. I think he was DC'd because it looked like he was like walking in place, and he is back. So hopefully no more problems. But it looked like Woos. Speaking of quantum mechanics, right? Woos was both there and not there at the same time. But he is back, so hopefully we can get back into the game.
Isn't it the psychology or philosophy experiment rather than quantum mechanics?
No.
You know,
Schrodinger's cat is an exercise about quantum mechanics. It's about like, so right, so it's you put the cat in a box with like what radioactive material or something, and until you check, the cat is both alive and dead, right? So the possibilities exist, and once you check, it's called collapsing the waveform, and that's when a possibility is ascertained. So basically the whole basis of quantum mechanics is that things in the universe change just by virtue of us observing it.
No, it doesn't matter because we all live in a simulation. It's fine.
Which is very real. It's actually more likely that we live in a simulation than not. Because all right, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna. Don't get me started, Billy. Okay, I'm trying to stay on topic here.
Welcome to the SCS Existential Dread Hour.
We already talked about waveforms. I don't need to go further into simulation theory and like solipsism and stuff like that. I almost swore there. So Trophy Statuary being the next site for LYE. They find themselves up 4-1. They are poised, Billy, poised for a 5-1 half. And holy crap, would that be quite the upset if they got that against LG?
I mean, to be fair, I in my time casting, believe it or not, it's happened this year, have seen 6-0 defensive halves traded on Villa. It was an absolute mess of a game, but I've seen it, so it's not impossible. In fact, it does quite frequently happen in Southeast Asia where you see 5-1 halves traded defensively on Villa, so it's not unimaginable.
Bros do not know how to attack.
No, it's just defense can be so brutal to deal with.
Yeah, here in NA at least, Villa is... I wouldn't say it's that defender-sided. It's certainly a lot more even now than it's been in the past. Like 4-2 is obviously standard, but 3-3 is definitely not strange at all for a split. Obviously, the best Luminosity you can get is a 2-4. And Lycus Empire, I'm sure, would love to get that 5th round. So LG seemed to be gearing up for another direct. It didn't work at all last time, although it did come fairly close. I think it was a 1v2 at the end of the round in the favor of Lycus. But LG don't have the Ying, which I mean, it really
they do. Ying's playing Ashe though.
I'm gonna kill this guy.
Honestly, I hate it. You load into a game, you're getting ready to cast, and all of a sudden. No. Believe it or not, it happens again quite often in Southeast Asia where teams will just run random names. And you're sitting there like, okay, so who's this? I have nothing to work on. And they don't tell you. You just got to figure it out. And that's a team kill.
How did that just happen?
That indeed is a team kill.
And it's made even worse since Candle R6 kills Splash. So I don't know how that just happened. Eddie at least gets another kill for his team, but he's put very low. Onto 1 HP. Ozone the next to fall, though, thanks to Asian. Running amok on this Ashe, trying to make his way through 90. Cryptics looks to try and have an answer, but he leaves aggro alone in the site as the plant is now going down from Rice. Cryptics wins his fight. That's huge, but can't get the second. Rice pops up and finish off that Mozzie, leaving aggro alone. Eddie, such low HP. All this Wamai has to do is land a single bullet. Does he know where he is? The shot's revealed. Impact. Position, the impact will miss, but he catches Eddie trying to skate away. Rice falls all the way back to 90, playing it very passive. Turning his back like that was a risk, but calculated, and it works out in his favor. Aggro's got to take this fight. He does not have the time to waste sitting here. About 20 seconds to get this kill and get back on this defuse. He'll try to bait it out. Force Rice to take the aggressive angle. In comes the Hibana, takes the fight, takes the shots, runs away. He's just bleeding time, and the round is pretty much over. Aggro doesn't have the time to stick this. 8 seconds left. Rice comes in, and there's the kill. Luminosity, though it came very close, still come away with a 2-4 half.
Yeah, like salvaging something at least. Bringing it. Just, I mean, again, 4-2 is still reasonably comfortable territory for the attack. You could work with that going into the defense. But, look, it could have been far worse. Honestly, given how the half has played out already, it could be a far worse position. I think Luminosity have done well to at least remain in this mentally.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I'm curious to see how Lycus's attacks shape up. Because, you know, defense, typically the easier side to play. Lycus Empire were playing, especially Candle and Cryptics, rather aggressively. It's also harder to win attacks when you've only got 1 or 2 guys really shooting. Right? I mean, you got Ozone 3 and 4, Woo's 2 and 4, Aggro 1 and 5. The brunt of Lycus's rounds have been won by Candle, R6, and Cryptics. I mean, if they can keep this up on attack and just go ham, then sure, maybe Lycus come away with it. But I think we're really going to need someone else to step up and join them if Lycus want any hope of closing this out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the round progression, and I think it speaks for itself. The fact you got 2 players sitting on 9 frags, one of them only having 2 deaths. And look, you could you look to make the argument, oh, you know, it's justified. They've won 4 rounds. They're quite comfortably in control. But you look at the deaths. Aggro's 1 in 5, so he's died in 5 of 6 rounds played. Woo's as well, having died in 4 of them. So they are being absolutely murked by Luminosity outside of Cryptics and Candle. In the last couple of rounds, they've been able to do that as well. But now we transition again, like you said, it's a comfortable position for most teams to be in, because not only do you have that additional win condition of just being able to sit back and play the clock, but they've got to come to you.
Lycus starting with a bottom-up take. There's only one defender downstairs to greet them. Splash roaming around on this mute, looking for the nitro cell potential. Player on the main stairs too, getting aggressive, actually landing some body shots on the Cryptics. Or, well, I say some, it's probably more like 1. Aggro is lurking around in the basement. Candle R6 looking for an opportunity to get a nade up, or maybe just take the swing on this player main, but there's a lot of utility they've got to cut through. Well, my discs, 2 of them being placed on this staircase. And there's Aggro coming up from that basement lurk, catching Splash and getting the opening pick for his team.
It's the power of the basement. I mean, you talk about lurk potential and the roam on the defense, but you can find just as much success in the attack with a map like Villa, where you can get down to the basement. What a shot onto the head of Candle. Unfortunately,
wow,
and he finds Cryptics. It's a trade, and things are coming up all Luminosity at the moment. Woos and Ozone, the last remaining, and unfortunately, they're not the stand-up fraggers for this team. They've lost both Candle and Cryptics already.
The shots from Asian ringing true on those main stairs. Kind of question that play with Candle walking up by himself and then Lycus Empire just trailing behind him. At least Lycus were able to get the kill at the end, but you leave Woos and Ozone, the 2 teammates from the Outlast days, against Rice, Kixro, and Eddie. Luckily, there's no more presence on main stairs, so they can make their way into Study, where they'll have to contend with this open wall. Ace charges try to come out from Ozone. The Selma is attempting to breach, but mute is in play, so it's not free. They're going to have to deal with those if they want them open, and I don't believe Woos has any shock drones remaining, so that wall is probably going to stay closed. No, it looks like they actually were able to wrap around the wall and shoot the jammer, but it comes at the cost of Woos' life. Now Ozone's alone in a 1 versus 3. Gas Kinners is coming out and not paying attention to Skull means his death. Eddie finishes the round, and LG come within 1 round of tying the game.
Well, that's big. It's exactly how you want to be starting off the half. And it was so rough. You know, it looked like maybe Cryptics was going to be able to bring it back, and then all of a sudden he was traded out. And from there, it just, the attack lost a lot of its, you know, spirit. Candle and Cryptics, very similar to freaking Courts in that duo entry position that we talked about earlier today. If they can stay alive on the attack, I imagine that could be the enabler for this Lycus Empire roster. But as soon as one of the 2 falls, they find themselves really struggling.
See how they fare on a different site, on Trophy. And Luminosity are now picking up that castle from Rice, so it makes me think maybe they're going to play in closet?
5 seconds remaining.
Or at the very least around this master wall? Maybe in bathroom as well? You can get really fluid once you cut off certain angles in master, like those windows. Or the windows on the side right by that wall. Downstairs presence as well from this defense in Eddie, but he'll just shoot a drone and quickly rotate back up. So Lycus could go for bottom up again. I would really like to see them actually use their nades in the previous round, but they're not going to go for it. They're going to just do a direct.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You look at the setup, and this is going to be quite a hard one to flush out. The Keeper barricades on the master bedroom just give Luminosity that little bit of extra added aggression that they can play around the Keeper, you know, the castle barricades as well. Just all the utility that is there, and that could be dangerous. Luckily, just snakes away without receiving any significant damage. Keeper barricade though will cover up that gap. Just not enabling the long lines of sight for Lycus Empire. You could feel the hesitation already.
Nice play from the Azami, using those Kiva barriers very well to continue to exude presence here in Master. Ivana's coming out, destroy one of those walls. Asian falls back just a bit. Nade being caught by the Lamai, so there's no freebie kill on a Splash, who's prone in this bathroom corner. As Asian is still playing really aggressively around the Master door, and there's nothing the attackers are really doing to stop him, and this is a very good angle, being able to stop that closet jump in. More Hibana pellets are coming out and distracted by the Aruni gate. Gives Candle 6 the opportunity to jump in and finally kill that Azami.
That's a big kill as well. I mean, a lot of that setup onto that main breach was, well, I mean, given that they'd opened it already, it was playing around the master bedroom. Luckily, Eddie is there to trade something back. The EBR violence going toe-to-toe, but losing the Dokkaebi is pretty significant. Candle looking for a nade. Unfortunately, no one there to receive it either. We hit to the final minute, and like I said, they just still can't find a foothold into the building.
It's super slow. 50 seconds left with Candle 6 downstairs. They'll be left to work with another nade. Splash is still in the corner of bathroom too, watching this walk-in closet. There's really no openings for Lycus Empire to work their way in unless Candle, by some miracle, is able to work his way up Astro stairs. Maybe another nade tries to come in, but there's a Wamai disc, so Splash just gets away with it. Candle 6 hammering away at the barbed wire, reveal his location, and Splash has since repositioned. He'll win the fight against Cryptix, try to take the other, but gets downed. Not finished off by the nade just yet. Bryce comes in for the assist, dusts Candle. 2 versus 2 though, with Splash and Eddie downed. It's Kixrow and Rice against Ozone and Aggro. In comes Aggro, finds the freebie onto the castle, and Kixrow falls back. He knows there's only 5 seconds to play with. He can play off the time, but Ozone has this case. We'll try and get it down. Aggro covering on this doorway. In comes the swing, and Aggro's got the cover. Lycus Empire, despite taking so long to get a foothold in his sight, still win the round.
Yeah, that could have been disastrous. I mean, you think of what it would have set up there for Luminosity if they'd won that round, being able to just surpass. It just blows my mind that Lycus somehow managed to salvage the situation. They'd lost Cryptix and Candles early, and the other 3 players of the roster, I'm not saying they're bad, but they definitely have been more of a backseat entity so far in this matchup. The numbers speak for themselves, but somehow Ozone and Aggro, they step up, they find the clutch, they make it work for the team, showing up when they needed the most.
Glad to see Aggro stepping up in that round too. Getting some really important frags for his team, especially the kill on the castle to open things up and allow Ozone in. So Lycus find themselves, once again, leading by 2 rounds. They'll have to attack onto Dining and Kitchen. They'll bring the sledge on Woos, allowing Cryptix to swap to Zoe, and Lion is now a new addition to this team. Capcan, though, and Legion both come out for Luminosity, looking to delay this attack as much as possible indirectly with those traps. Eddie looking for the spawn peak C4, but no one has spawned by the main road.
Okay, he still has the opportunity at the explosive kill. He's a Capcan after all. There's a lot of priority, or at least significantly more than you're used to seeing in terms of the trap input. Both the Legion and the Capcan coming into play. This could be true test of just how well Lycus drone and check the map around them, because we've seen what happens when you don't check your doorways.
Wow. Splash destroys both Candle and Cryptix, and just like that, your 2 hard carries are done. They're done for. Splash has taken a long time to wake up, but man, I mean, if he doesn't get any more kills left this match and they win it, like that, I mean, that's all you can ask for him. Taking out Cryptix and Candle, that is huge.
Oh, boy.
Kixrow will meet his fate at the hands of a nade from Wu. So it's 1 back for the attack, but still, losing Cryptix and Candle like that is detrimental.
The splash is low, so, I mean, theoretically, he could be mopped up. Unfortunately, no frag grenades remaining means that it's going to have to come down to the gunplay. Hopefully, with the 4 drones remaining, they can at least set up for that. Pantry is open, so, I mean, they could technically sneak onto the site. At least, if nothing else, it gives Aggro that long line towards the entry into the kitchen itself and towards China. But it's a weird position to find Lycus in. They're making these risky gambles that I wouldn't say are reflective of the current scoreline.
Aggro could go for a sneaky play up pantry. It looks like Rice is watching it, though. As the drone comes in and Ozone opens up that laundry door. They're very nervous about someone walking up through pantry. Woos is still upstairs. No defender is with him, so he could start working vert, provided he has the necessary flank drones to support him. Make sure he doesn't get flanked. And Aggro makes his presence known. Right on cue, Eddie gets a freebie on Ozone, dropping case in laundry. And now these last two attackers have their work cut out for them. Woos needs to make something happen on the vert. Anything. At least a kill or even an opening for Aggro to make his way in, but instead he'll die to a C4. Capcan Trap being hit by the Lion as well, puts him on low HP. He looks the wrong way, but it's not even the mute to kill him. It's Eddie walking around, wrapping China to dining, and LG once again come within 1 round of tying.
It just feels odd. I mean, you're up 5-3 in this matchup. You've got a little bit of room to work with. You got some breathing room. It felt like such an unnecessary force into the master bathroom, which Splash was able to punish. You get 2 lead fraggers as well. So it just makes me question what the game plan is here from Lycus. They maybe not anticipated to be in this position, not quite sure how to close this one out. But it's a risk you would expect a team that is, you know, looking, I would imagine, 5-2 to be making.
Yeah, it was a bit odd to just jump in the bathroom like that. We're back on AVG. Where Luminosity won, I want to say pretty handily, thanks to that main stairs hold from Asian. Hopefully Lycus Empire's strategy to take it is not walk 3 people onto the staircase this time. Hopefully they actually use their nades and utility, play that bottom-up game properly, or they'll bring in Amaru. What is Aggro going to do with that?
Well, I mean, look, we saw it work for Luminosity. I would imagine Lycus Empire trying to emulate some of that. Unfortunately, I don't think there's quite as many avenues that could successfully be contested. I mean, Classical just outside the bomb site would be a risky one. You're then battling to try and keep holding. They do spot the Jaeger, so Eddie is in a position that will contest the window, and the audio queue should give him the time to set up and contest it. So, look, I respect the gamble. I don't think this was the site to make it happen.
Once again, the attack makes their way downstairs. Nades from Candle going up, not hitting anything. Cryptic's nades will likely follow. But again, Splash is here to greet them. Last time he got killed pretty early on by Aggro, but instead of an Ashe lurking in the basement, he's on Amaru. And I don't know. I actually don't know where Aggro is.
He was outside by Classical window, but you know,
is he?
Where is he? Yeah,
he's
still gunning for it.
What is he gonna? What is his plan?
He wants the Classic window. He's thinking about it. I think he might maybe head towards Trophy.
Not sure. We'll have to keep an eye out for him eventually, whenever he does make his move. And Lycus are, I think, are full rotating? Do they just not know how to take main stairs?
I mean, this is a risk. You're halfway through the round. You're now looking to make the play through Astro and Split. And yeah, that's the gamble. The gamble they've gone for is to try and take horizontally on the second floor, but you're looking at already, the setup is there. They can pivot with the Azami. Lycus Empire may have just signed this round over to Luminosity with the clock, but Cryptics, he finds the first, and that could be the opening they need.
That could be it, but wow, Eddie destroys Aggro. So much for the Amaru I was excited about. Cryptics is on the chase, but Eddie is long since gone. Even 4 versus 4, the time running low, eclipsing 40 seconds now for this attack to get underway, and the first gas canister of 3 comes out from Rice. They've got to worry about Slash downstairs too. He's got a C4 prepped and waiting for that default plant spot. Cryptics eats some gas to the face. He'll suffocate just a bit, but it's not too much damage he's got to worry about, as the Nitro Cell has now been pre-placed by Splash, who's looking to maybe work up a flank too. Cryptics is aware of it. The C4 goes off early. The mute almost caught, but not dead. It's still present the attack has to worry about. Ozone gets one. The plant is going down from Woos. The flank
Oh, no.
again noticed, but Yang Rice comes around the corner, shotguns that planter because Cryptics could not cover thanks to the flank, and we're all tied up.
The power of the clock. I mean, look, the call felt like the right decision, I suppose, at the time. Unfortunately, it happened so late that you were literally looking at a second and a half rather, to get that plant down. All you have to do is stop the planter at that point. We were well and truly over the threshold of the round timer. So
Attackers need to locate
it just feels
as many
like
bombs as they can.
they had the opening, they had the opportunity, but that late round, it was a severely late round call. I mean, you're looking, it was what, 10 seconds off the final minute, and Lycus Empire decided to go scrap their initial approach and go for the second floor horizontal cross.
I just gotta question the Villa attacks now from Lycus in general. None of them have looked particularly convincing. I mean, they've only won one round off of it. And it seems like they just don't know how to take main stairs.
5 seconds left.
Like, I feel like that's Villa 101, is knowing how to do a main stairs bottom up into study on AVG. Like, I don't know. Like, the rotation wasn't bad, yeah, but
It was just
you
too
didn't
late.
have anyone. Yeah, it was too late. You didn't have anyone downstairs covering for the C4. I mean, we saw a Splash. Cryptics missing the kill on the Splash, ended up losing them the round because he got distracted instead of covering for his planter. The attacks from Lycus have been limp, to say the least.
I mean, what's the thing? It's either that they've been limp attacks or they've just been panicky, I think is probably the best description. They're just making decisions that feel like they're counterintuitive to the situation they find themselves in, which now unfortunately has led to the point where they're tied up at 5-5. Yeah, we're guaranteed full regulation, but that doesn't automatically mean a win. It just means that they have potential for the overtime. Splash falls though, Candle finding a spectacular opening for the team. And they need to play off of that. They need to keep the pressure on. The last thing they want is to slow this down.
At the very least, that is the bathroom player now dealt with, and nearly the pre-fire onto Asian, but it's just a little bit off the head. And thus, the Azami gets the kill, evening the man count once again and allowing Rice to retake bathroom. These Kibas pestering this attack as they just keep being regenerated and flung out by the Azami. Finally, they've run out, so there's no more Kibas. Now Aggro's got to make something happen on the backside of things. It's a peak war between him and Eddie, as both are just dancing around this doorway trying to land 1 or 2 shots on each other, but eventually the Aruni will chicken out, no longer peek through, opting for the smart play. But that allows Aggro up just a little bit, but he's not going to push just yet. Still just dancing with this Aruni, where his teammate needs him to make some noise. Woos goes for the aggressive peek, but Asian destroys him. And now you've lost another man for nothing. There was no trade potential there. Woos was acting alone.
Oh, no.
Aggro looks to come around the corner as Kix goes 1-for-1 with Cryptics trading out his teammate, but there's Eddie on the ground finding his pick. And Cryptics alone in a 1 versus 3. The Castle Barricade stopping him. And he's left to pick up the pieces. Again, the attack from Lycus just confusing. Not a lot happening in Master because of these Kiva barriers. Sure, they kill the guy in bathroom, but no one moves in to take that control. They haven't even cleared the castle barricades in Master. Aggro is working a solo over towards Boar. The attack is segmented and just, it doesn't look like it's very well thought out.
I get the feeling that maybe it's the problem with the complexity of the defense. There's just so much for Lycus to try and overcome in Luminosity's defensive setup that they get overwhelmed, and from there they just sort of fumble the bag. But I mean, Candle got it and he found that early pick. He then does some decent damage to Asian, and unfortunately they can't find the follow-up. Asian got a free kill after the fact, with, 30 health if you're lucky to his name, because Lycus just tried to force through the opening in the wall and were punished for it. I don't know. Maybe it's a case of just clearer heads prevail in this situation. It seems that Luminosity at the moment have the clearer heads.
Yeah, I think that's just the T2 difference. knowing exactly how to play this map. Again, a map that LG really love to play. Like, I think it might be the complexity. But even then, like, if you're seeing a super complex master setup, right, that you don't know how to deal with, just go study. Like, just ignore it. How many times do we see that, right? Remember, Billy, remember when closet holds were really big, right? Remember when Frost got the 1.5, Wamai was in his heyday, right? It kind of came back when Aruni was released, but it was really big when Wamai
honestly,
first came out. Remember
you talk about Frost. I'm surprised that we actually haven't seen it because
that too.
Look, I get it. It might be a case of regional differences, but I'm used to seeing a little bit more Frost on the defense.
I'm used to seeing Frost too, but I mean, like remember when those closet holds came out? How did attackers deal with that? They either knew how to clear it or they just went study and they just ignored it. Why have we not seen that from Lycus? Why have we seen that inability or almost unwillingness to adapt, to kind of like just hammer their heads against a brick wall? Like, if you're really struggling that much with the Kibas, the castles, the bathroom setup, then just don't go there. Go study. Same thing with that main stairs clear. Like, yeah, you should know how to clear main stairs. Clearly you don't. So just go master. Do a full master over instead of waiting halfway through the round. It's the inadaptability from Lycus that I think is really punishing them. Not just that it's complex, but the fact that they choose to push into said complexity without a solid game plan or a solid know-how.
Yeah, I mean, the rigidity is definitely showing. I mean, it's not just lack of flexibility between rounds, but mid-round. They identify the setup, they identify the problem, and all of a sudden they're still trying to brute force, smash their forehead into the wall, so to speak. Oryx it, if you will. But that's just not how the game's played. It's not Call of Duty where you can just run around the corner and frag out. There is steps that you need to follow in an approach to the site, clearing out utility, opening walls, opening lines of sight, holding angles. And Lycus are trying to skip those steps, and if you do that against a team like Luminosity, who are a tier 2 staple, you're going to get punished for it.
Downstairs sits two of these defenders on that horizontal. So this defense split between the lateral and vertical, and still it's an opening kill for this defense. Candle, the first one dead. Asian having a hell of a map. Despite Cryptics, I mean, we've been seeing this all map. Despite Candle and Cryptics having standout performances, it's not enough if the rest of your team isn't backing you up. And sure, LG also have, Asian going 13-9, Eddie going 13-7, but I feel like the support has been a lot more consistent from the rest of their team.
Well, I mean, you look at it, a third of Lycus Empire's kills are spread out across 3 players. And Ozone is now down, courtesy of actually a Capcan trap. Yeah, it wasn't even a Nitro cell. It was just the EDDs in the right place at the right time. They'll get him up, but much of a muchness, honestly, given his health back.
And they're still working on this top floor clear. This is a dining site, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen. Kixro is patiently waiting for this Dokkaebi to show himself on this doorway. And Aggro doesn't look like he's operating with much info as Woos starts to hit Boar. He's got to worry about Splash playing this Wamai just behind the Deer trophy. And things have slowed to a bit of a standstill. They'll actually go 1-for-1. Woos and Splash trading out. That's going to make Kixro a little bit more exposed. Meanwhile, downstairs, Cryptics trying to make his way through sight. They'll expose his position, sending shots in through Memo before breaching open the wall. And now the hunt is on for this Azami, who easily kills Aggro because, again, the attack is operating off of little to no info. Cryptics gets smoked by an angle he didn't even know existed, and Ozone is very quick to follow as the last 2 attackers line up for the Capcan.
A 4-2 halves that went the way of Lycus Empire. They then close out the map, dropping only a single round. Big stuff, and again, they hold fast and give us the result that we sort of expected in this matchup. And look, poor Goluk, he's throwing his predictions, unfortunately. Crow, how does it feel ending play day 1, 100% in the predictions?
It was pretty good. I can't lie. And I'm sure it's only going to be downhill from here.
Oh, it always is.
It always is. But I gotta say, even though I predicted against them, I was gunning for Lycus there. I thought they were going to show us the upset in day one. But man, did their attacks suck. Like,
Yeah.
they started
look.
with a 4-2 half. I think they definitely had the opportunity to go 5-1 as well. But, I mean, only winning one singular attack round in the entire 6-round half is, I mean, it's inexcusable. It would have been inexcusable had LG done it too. You know, don't get me wrong. But it's even more inexcusable considering Lycus just, we're just not playing their attack smart at all. Like you said, the rigidity. And like I said, the unwillingness to adapt. It killed them in the end. I don't know why they just every round kept pushing straight into the setup. Exactly where LG wanted them. When it's on a map like Villa, it's as easy as just ignoring it. Because Villa is designed in a way where there's two very distinct parts of the map. There's Aviator Games with the 90 Hall, and then Trophy Stat with Astro, Bathroom, Master, and what other room am I missing? And Boar, right? And on the downstairs, you have Dining Kitchen, it has Pantry and China, and Memo, and then Living Room Library. And with that, like, it's so segmented that it's one of the very few maps where you can do it so easy. You can just ignore it. Just go to the other side of the map. It's that easy.
I mean, they tried that, but unfortunately, it was too.
Yeah, they tried it halfway into the round, though. Like,
it's like sitting down to a
progress.
test. They do the front page and they're like, "Cool, I'm done with the test." Only to realize that 60% of the mark is on the back side of it, and they've just walked away and said, "Yeah, cool, 4-2 defensive half. That's it. We're done." And there's still another half to play.
Yeah.
And it was just it felt like they'd invested more into one aspect of the game. So I hope, look, going into the future, they put that little bit more effort into the attack, because that is. It seems to be what makes or breaks teams. If you can't attack, chances are you're not going to be able to pick up a win, because a lot of teams just sort of default to being comfortable on the defense, which you can understand. On a map like Villa, you will automatically default to being that much more comfortable on the defense, and that, unfortunately, if you're starting on the defense, that's never enough.
Yeah, I was hopeful. I had my rose-colored glasses on, but like we're not able to provide. LG, though, the wherewithal to take a 5-1 split in the second half of the game. I mean, they utterly destroyed Lycus on those attacks. Like you said, we talk about Lycus being unable to adapt, but the complexity that LG were bringing out, and they just played it so well. Asian getting topped by I shouldn't say. Asian getting dethroned by Eddie somehow in the rating, despite going 15-9. Eddie was just that tiny bit better, probably considering he went perfect on entry and had a higher cost percentage. Well done to those two members. And again, right, you have Rice, who sure only has 5 kills, but he's even. Julian's only got 6, but he's only -2. Meanwhile, on Lycus, right, Cryptic can handle. Great. Ozone, 5-8. Aggro and Woos, 4-10. That's just it. You gotta give your boys some more support than that.
It doesn't feel. Look, you look at Cryptics and Canada score, but the rounds where they actually had the most impact were so few and far between. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite what you look at those numbers. You're like, yeah, cool. They're absolutely punching kills out round after round. But it was a handful of rounds spread out through the map where they were able to step up and find some big impact. And unfortunately, that's just not enough. At the end of the day, you need to consistently be putting an effort. Whether it doesn't necessarily mean a kill every single round, but it's doing your job every single round, helping secure kills for your team.
Yeah, not only did they just have a couple multi-kills, but a lot of those kills were just unimpactful. They would just get a couple kills and then lose. But we do have an interview ready. One of the members of LG, their coach, Tysus, is joining us to talk about that win. Tysus, so this is our first time talking, but this is your first time in an interview since the CL season. So after losing in the playoffs to Aerial Arise, coming into SCS, what was the biggest thing that you guys were focusing on now with Asian on the roster?
Well, the team is completely new now with Asian. We don't have Silent. We're working mostly on the entry kills fragment, and also we're doing some new stuff, some new strats, and we have to actually know our team, because every team has its own style of play style. So we gotta know each other and know what's was the best for us.
Gotcha. And with a game against Lycus Empire, they're the big underdogs. You don't know a lot about them, considering they haven't been in very many leagues. When you saw Cryptics and Candle popping off on that defensive half, getting the 4-2, were you worried at all?
Yeah, I was, to be honest. They play very well. They have a lot of gunfire skill. So they play very well. When I watched them, like we were like 0-3. I was a little bit scared, but my team is very good, and we could win this match.
Yeah, the 5-1 defensive half in the second half of the game was certainly really impressive. And speaking about the defensive half, after the first round that you guys won with that AVG hold, where Lycus just couldn't get past the main stairs, and then it happened again. Was that something? Because then you really ramped up the complexity on your defenses. Was that something that they saw that maybe Lycus weren't used to dealing with, like CL caliber setups like that?
To be honest, I think they don't have enough experience, and they, as I told, they have like gun skill and stuff like that, but they don't know how to execute properly. I think they're a new team, so it's kind of things that T3 teams that always do. They don't know how to execute, but they play well with the gun. Yeah,
they're. I mean, even their roam clears were a little bit of a struggle, but I mean, like you mentioned, with working on the entry fragging now with Silent out and Asian in. I mean, Silent for the entire year for Challenger League, and even before that when he first joined, has always been a standout player. What's the main differences in the entry styles between someone like Silent Ends and now Asian?
Well, they're very different. Asian is not like the kind of guy that Silent is. Silent goes without drones. Silent goes and makes history and stuff like that. Asian also is a pretty good player. He's awesome. He got in T1. That's not like that's because of something, because he is very good. But they're different. You just gotta know each other, know how the team is playing right now, and how we kill how we get the first kill.
Yeah, I definitely noticed. Even when they were playing side by side, Silent Ends was always he doesn't care. He's just gonna walk in. Whereas Asian's kind of, so with Asian kind of being that player who's, I don't want to say baity, but he's not as aggressive. Are you having someone else come in for that like real primary entry role to try and take Silent's place, or have you just reworked the entry dynamic completely?
Well, we reworked a little bit on our strats. We changed a little bit. Sometimes right now Eddie is more aggro. Sometimes Asian is a little bit more like a flex player. So it all comes up to, like, for example, Rice is a support player, and the rest is like flex, or something like that, But we kind of do what's the best for each one. So if someone plays better on that position, and that position is more for an entry player, and he's a support player, he will play there because he plays better,
Yeah, I got you. So before we sign out, is there anything you want to say to the stream?
Just thank you guys for watching SCS. It's a very good league. So tune up for more games, and basically that's it. Thank you for my family. Thank you for everyone from my team to to get this focus every day. So yeah, basically that's it. Nothing much to say.
Sweet, we love to hear it. I definitely look forward to seeing more from you and your team, Tysus. I'm glad we finally had a chance to talk as well, with Brimstone doing all the CL interviews, and I hope you have a very good night.
Good night.
Well, look, they clearly understand what they need to be doing. Obviously, very driven roster as well. So, like, again, this is one of those situations where, look, the scoreline's probably not the ideal for some of these teams today, but it sets us up for those storylines of going forward. And, like, these are what the improvements are that need to be made, and that's what they're going to be working towards. So it just gives us, I suppose, our control test to see where these teams end up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think at the very least these teams can glean pretty glaring, I think, improvements that they need to make. But that's all 4 games, Billy. We're done for today, and guess what? There's more tomorrow. Same time,
No way.
6 p.m. EST. And you know how many games we're going to have?
4, just like today.
Exactly. We're going to finish up the other 4 games. Parabellum versus S2, the new PB, against a Reverses team. Vipers, who have also made a change. I don't know whose logo that is. Oh,
It's
never
collegiate,
mind.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Collegiate Connoisseurs. Oh, my God. I forgot about that team. I still can't believe they qualified, but they're going to have a hell of a game against Vipers. Aerial Arise Academy versus JJ. I mean, let's be real. It's Aerial Academy against JJ. That is the game you don't want to miss. And finally, OXG up against HK Rebels, another set of newcomers. So 4 more games tomorrow, and they look to once again be just as exciting as today was. And we're going to have BO1s all week long, baby. So Billy, thank you very much for joining me today.
Look, it's been
fun.
great. I've missed
It was
SCS. The game.
Oh, me too. I miss
Amazing to work
T3.
with. So I'm glad to be back here.
I miss T3 so much. Shout out to Ferme for bringing the freaking league back, and Bob for helping too, and everyone on the staff to bring you this beautiful production, admins, and all that. So thank you all for watching. We love you. SCS wouldn't be possible without you guys and without the teams and the players and all your support. So tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. EST sharp for 4 more best of ones, and we'll be finishing up round 1. Thank you for watching. I love you, and have a very good night.
Oh, 50.